Hi, good evening. Oh, this is my third attempt at starting this live this evening. So first, let me say welcome to Here Talks. So you're here with me tonight. I am Carla, for those of you who don't know. I am the owner of Just Curls. We manufacture hair products for us curly girls. Tonight my hair is in braids, which I should have done on the live last week Wednesday, but we had to postpone because of technical difficulty. So we are on tonight. We are only live on Facebook tonight. I indicated to my Instagram followers to come over to Facebook, and I will repost the video tonight there as well, and as well as on the YouTube page. So my hairstyle tonight is courtesy Hair Aura 868. She's on Instagram. So guys, I hope you will go and check out her page. I must say I would recommend her for those of you who might be looking for someone to braid your daughter's hair. She is so gentle. Not once did I have to say ow. I could have put my hair up in one immediately after I got it done. It was not tight at all, so I think this is great if you really want to say you're doing a protective style. For me, when people say protective styles and they do the braids and it's tight, it's not really protective because it's damaging your scalp, it's pulling out your hairline. So I would really recommend her. She's on Instagram, Her Aura 868. So you could go and check her out. I will put her handle in the comments as we go along tonight. So I know tonight is Valentine's night, so I know a lot of people may have had plans. They might be out to dinner, spending time with their loved ones. So we're just going to go ahead and get into it. I am supposed to be joined by a co-host tonight. So I spoke to her a little earlier. She's a bit late in getting in. However, she will join in as we go along. And tonight's topic is sex before marriage. Sex before marriage. And I just want to share my thoughts, my views on it. And for those of you who would be looking at the replay, you could put your thoughts in the comments, and it could be a running discussion throughout the week, and we could really share our thoughts on this particular topic. Yes, so let's get into it. From a spiritual standpoint, we have been taught from Sunday school coming all the way up, you know, that sex before marriage is something that is forbidden by God. It was not intended to take place outside of the marital bed, right? And I think everybody, those in church, those not in church, I think everybody knows about that law and that biblical principle in terms of not having sex before marriage. Hi Ashaki, good night, happy Valentine's to you too there. So we all have that understanding in terms of the biblical aspect about sex and marriage as it pertains to Christianity and godly living. Now I know for many of us that was not practiced. For many of us, myself as well, we didn't practice that. So we didn't abstain from sex before marriage. And getting into marriage, one might think that you know, if you experience, you want to sort of try or to have a trial run before you get into marriage, because as Trinidadians like to say, we don't want to buy cat in bag, right? And for me personally, I have seen the disadvantages of that. And let me put it this way. I understand why God created one man for one woman and vice versa. I understand why he intended it to be that you experience one man, one woman in your lifetime through the union of marriage. And let me explain why I say I understand. If there is nothing for you to compare your partner to, if you did not have sex while you were dating in the dating process and had sex with different partners before you got married, then there will be nothing to compare it to. You do not have to put your spouse through the pressures of doing what Jim used to do, what Harry may have did. I like this from Harry, I like this from Jim, I like this from Timothy, I like this from whoever. You know, there wouldn't be any comparisons, because this would be your first time, this would be your spouse's first time, which to me makes it special, because you both get to explore each other in this dynamic way. So I understand why God created it to be that way. But apart from that, you know, when you have delved into sexual activities before marriage, and then you delve into sexual activity before marriage, and then actually somewhere down the road you actually get married to somebody. To me, it causes a lot, it brings a lot of unnecessary, how to put it, it brings a lot of unnecessary drama into your space. And let me explain. One, you start to compare. Two, you know, in the canal, when we talk about sexually transmitted diseases, so when you have sex, unprotected sex, you can get all these sexually transmitted diseases. But I don't think people even understand that there's something called spiritual transmitted diseases. So when you have multiple sex partners and then you go into a marriage, you bring all of that, all of the experiences with the past persons that you had into your marriage. I don't know if anybody ever experienced it. So you were with somebody in a relationship, a sexual relationship with somebody, and that person may have been battling depression, and all of a sudden you find yourself being depressed. You never suffered with depression before, but all of a sudden you start to behave like this person. You're feeling depressed, you're getting suicidal thoughts, and you're wondering where all of this is coming from. That is what I say that's what I mean when I say you have spiritual transmitted diseases. So just in that light, for me, the sex before marriage is something that, you know, we should really think about, right? And I say this and I admonish this for the younger people coming up, that if you are a virgin, and there is nothing wrong with being a virgin, I implore you to wait. Wait until you're in the confinements of marriage, because it makes it all the more easier, and you eliminate all the sexually transmitted diseases, you eliminate all the spiritual transmitted diseases, all the soul ties that you incur along the way. Now, I know my audience is grown folks, right? So people will say, okay, so what do you do? Okay, for a woman like me, I am 45. And yes, I have had sexual experiences in the past, but I'm also a Christian now, right? So I remember in my dating process, as a believer, initially it was shaky. Initially it was really shaky, and I wouldn't lie. I was in church, and I was dating, still having sex. Let's just be real, putting it out there real, right? I was still having sex, and I remember when I decided, you know what, Lord, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to wait until marriage. I'm going to keep myself. I'm not going to be sexually active. I'm going to take that time to totally purge myself, to really detox from all the other relationships that I would have had in the past, to pray about soul ties and that kind of thing, right? And I remember after all of that, in said dating process, even with men in church, when you say to a man, I don't want to have sex before marriage, at my age, at 45, 40, 35, and you're a woman with children, they tend to look at you like, what do you mean you don't want to have sex before marriage? But you're already doing this thing, you already have children, and that's their excuse to get you into having sex before marriage, because in their minds you're already doing it, so why stop? Just continue. It's as though, okay, you already sin, so continue in sin, that kind of thing, right? And I know people tend to say it's so difficult because, like, okay, let me give an analogy. If you had chili mango in the past, you know what chili mango tastes like, you know the feeling you get when you eat the chili mango, and then all of a sudden you have to cut out chili mango. So you're seeing other people having chili mango, enjoying chili mango, but you can't touch it. But you know the taste of it, you know the smell, you know the feel, you know the enjoyment that it brings. You understand? It is much more difficult for somebody who has already engaged in sexual activity to abstain. So you know you have those in church who make you feel some type of way because, okay, there are those who are virgins and stuff, and they can't quite understand why it is so difficult for those who have engaged in it to abstain. But if you have never done the act, I mean, there's nothing to compare it to, so therefore your urge will be different because you don't really know what it is, or you have not experienced it. But for those of us who would have been sexually active before, then coming to Christ, then making that decision to abstain because we want to live holy, we want to live righteous, is a little more difficult. And you have to really put boundaries in place to, you know, to make sure that you don't fall into that into that trap, into sin. Right? Let's call it what it is. You don't want to fall into it. And it's very difficult as adults to date in this time where it seems like everybody has been sexually active, has had multiple partners, and even in the church, it is difficult because, you know, some people in church, they don't want to wait. They're pretending, they're hiding, they're doing it behind closed doors, and you know, people look at you strangely, especially when you're a certain age and you already have kids, and they find it strange how you want to wait until marriage to have sex. You know, it's quite a difficult thing to navigate, you know. But I just want to, you know, let people be aware of the disadvantage you will be doing to yourself if you have sex before marriage, in the dating process, multiple partners, and then seeking to go into marriage carrying all this baggage. And baggage doesn't just come meaning that you have kids already. Baggage doesn't come because you're in debt already, but the emotional baggage that comes with it, the spiritual baggage, because you have all these soul ties, you have all this all these spiritual STDs that you carry from these persons that you would have had sex with in the past. It is a lot to deal with, and it puts a lot of trauma on your marriage, apart from all the other traumas that you may have to deal with in marriage, because some things only rear its head in marriage. I think this is one thing that if you could really get a handle on it, it's one thing if you could ask God for the strength to stay away from, you understand, and to really keep yourself until marriage. I think is the best decision that anybody could make. AZ, hey cuz, long time no see, happy Valentine's to do. You know, it's the one thing that you could do to really protect yourself. I mean, even today being Valentine Day, I know it have a lot of people, men and women alike, who would have been in relationships would have ended probably just months before, weeks before, days before Valentine's Day. And you know, it's a struggle today, because you've seen everybody in love, everybody getting the flowers, the roses. We know how it goes down on Valentine, and just because of that connection, that soul tie you would have incurred with this person through sex, it makes it so difficult, even on days like today, where we have our suicide rates going up on days like these. So even today, I just want you all to encourage you all to check up on your single friends, check up on your divorced friends, just check in and say hi, see how they're doing, you know, show them some love, because today is a very difficult day for some. Yeah, so we on here talks, we talking about sex before marriage, we talking about the disadvantages of sex before marriage and the trauma that it could cause going in to a marriage when you have two people coming into this marriage toting all these spiritual attachments to the past, girlfriends, boyfriends, people falling out because they're saying, well, you not pleasing me like David used to please me, Cindy used to do this better, Shaman used to spin on her head. And that's not the way God created it to be. You understand? There shouldn't be comparisons. You shouldn't have anything to compare your partner to. And I think when we enter into relationships like that, it's just that you're cheating yourself and you're cheating your spouse. Now I know for a lot of the women who are older like me, I mean, the deed has already been done. We can't undo the past. And you might say, well, okay, how do we move forward from there? My advice is really take some time for self. To both men and women, take some time for self. Take some time to detox, both physically, spiritually, mentally. Take some time to release those persons. Take some time to cut off those spiritual attachments, those soul ties. Take some time by yourself and really wait. If your desire is still to be married, even after divorce, if your desire is to be married, even after you've had children and you may not have been married, but if your desire is to be married, I suggest that you take some time to empty yourself. Take some time to break those soul ties, because I believe it is absolutely necessary. It's not easy, because I remember when I had to do it before my second marriage, I really had to take time and pray. I was like talking to God constantly, asking him, you know, to break these soul ties, to remove every trace, even in terms of sense, even in terms of songs. Because, you know, sometimes you have a song that you hear and it reminds you of a person. You might be going somewhere and you smell a cologne, it reminds you of this person. Places that you may have gone, it reminds you of this person. And I really had to take some time to detox myself, so to speak, from all of that. You understand? So much so to the point where if I should see somebody I would have dated in the past, it is so terrible and people think that I'm doing it on purpose, but I am not. I actually forget persons' names. Like literally, I might see you and be like, yeah, I dated this person. But I kid you not, I cannot remember their names. Honestly, it's like it's been wiped clean. No memory of what it was like, what the relationship. I kid you not. It is that serious. And it is possible to detox yourself so much to the point where you have no memory of the past experiences. So it is possible to move in to your new situation not having any memory of your past and not having anything to compare your spouse to. It is indeed possible. Yeah, so on this Valentine night, I know a lot of you guys are preparing to go out there. We are big folks in here. You all are planning. You bought the lingerie, everything matching. You went to the wax lady. You prep yourself and you're ready to go out there to meet your loved one who you have no commitment to. There's not even a ring, pop ring on your finger. Let's be serious, let's be real. And you're going to give your whole self. Males and females, you're going to give your whole self. Not even understanding the transfers that are going to take place. It's a real thing. It is a real thing. Because I've experienced it. I have experienced it in the past where I dated somebody who suffered from depression, who struggled with suicidal thoughts. And I found myself in the same vein and couldn't even understand how until I came into this knowledge. You know, sometimes I especially hear women say sometimes they're in a relationship and not until they end the relationship they're like, you know, I now starting to see my way. Things now start to happen for me. Not understanding that some of these people come with their own demons, their own energies, their generational curses that you take part in when you get sexually involved. You understand? So even if you don't want to take it from my view, in terms of the spiritual part, in terms of what God says and what His Word says about abstinence before marriage, just take it from a physical standpoint, where you're just having sex with somebody with no commitment. Today you're together, you break up. Tomorrow they sleep with somebody else, you come back, you're together, you break up, and you just keep going back and forth. Think about it, the sexual diseases they could pick up, and also you pick up a lot of this person's traits, behaviors, mannerisms. You take part in all the generational curses. So yeah, you just really need to be wise and think about what we're doing and who we're giving ourselves to. I know it's hard, especially if you already delve into it, if you already have a taste for it. It is difficult. I'm not going to lie, it's not going to be a walk in the park. It's not easy. But for me, with God, it becomes doable. I have my good days and my bad days. Sometimes I talk to Daddy because I am one who is very real. For those of you who know me, I don't hide. It have days I question Daddy and like, what you doing? Like, what we doing? What we doing today? Because you know your daughter. Like, how long we doing this for? I just ask him questions like, how long we had to do this for? Like, you know, people keep asking me if I want to get married again. I don't know. I mean, if God allows, if the situation is correct this time around, because I've learned a lot. You understand? I've learned not to ignore the red flags. I've learned not to lean on my own understanding. But if it isn't in God's will for me to be married again, it's just that, you know. You have so much things that I could do to keep myself occupied and keep my mind off of that. As I tell people, if I'm not dating anybody, I'm quite fine. I am quite fine. I can do me. I love to go to the beach. I go buy plants. I love my garden. I love exercising. I go to the movies. I take myself to dinners and that kind of thing. I'm fine. You know. But once I start to date, that is where I really have to lean on God, because it's easy not to think about sex when you're single, but when you're in a relationship with somebody that you have feelings for, that you find attractive, it is going to be difficult. So you have to put mechanisms in place. You may have to have somebody that accountability partner that you have to call to make sure that you're inside a certain time, as grown as you are. You understand? You might need an accountability partner. Somebody that you're a girlfriend that you will call and say, hey, I'm over by Frank and the Netflix and chill, getting a bit serious, and she'll say, hey, time to head home. I'll call you in the next 10 minutes to make sure you're home. You know, that kind of thing. But I just want to admonish the younger ones, the young people. Life isn't running away. It isn't. And it is in your best interest to wait for marriage. It is in your best interest to wait on that one person that you plan to spend the rest of your life with. And I'm not saying that in your waiting it guarantees that you're going to have this perfect marriage. By no means. That is a guarantee. But it eliminates a lot of the baggage and the stress that you could bring on your relationship. That's one less thing for you to have to deal with. Yeah? So, I just want to say you guys continue to have a great night. Enjoy your Valentine evening. Be safe. Make smart choices. Yeah? And it's always a pleasure being with you guys on Hair Talks. As I said, my hair is braided. I was supposed to have it braided live last Wednesday, but we weren't on because of technical difficulty. My stylist, she's on Instagram. Her handle is HerAura868. And for me, I enjoyed the process. I didn't flinch once. She was very gentle. There was no pulling. It wasn't tight at all. I could have immediately put my hair up in one. When I was finished, I could sleep peacefully. I didn't have to take a Panadol to sleep. No stiff neck, no hanging off the bed. It was comfort from day one. So I know a lot of you guys might be looking for people to braid your hair whose scalp is tender. She didn't pull on my hairline, which is already sensitive. For younger children, I would recommend for younger children, hands down, because I do not like seeing little girls' hair braided tight. So you could get at her Aura868 on Instagram. I will put her handles and her number in the comments for you all guys to check out her page. So thank you so much for stopping by at Hair Talks. It was great talking to you guys. For those of you who are going to watch the replay, drop your comments and we can have a running discussion on this topic, sex before marriage. Feel free to share some of the concerns, some of the struggles you may have, and let's try and navigate, this thing together as we grow and as we heal in 2024. Yeah, love you guys.